Hey guys, it's Allison here, and it is day 19 of LOAD218. So I'm here with a new layout, and today's adventure is about trying new things. So I've done a couple of things. One of the prompts suggested going on Pinterest and looking up scrapbook technique and trying something new that we've never done before. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that I don't think I've ever tried before. So there was one that takes like a large picture and cuts it into strips, and then you sort of do this sort of thing. I don't have another large picture from my Harry Potter tour that I that I have printed off that I haven't already scrapbooked basically. But I thought I could take these 4 pictures of my daughters and cut them into sort of long strips and sort of work with it that way. And then on top of that, I am also going to be playing along with a challenge over on the Paper Issues blog, Facebook page. And specifically, they're teaming up with CSI, which is kind of a fun challenge site where they give you like a crime scene, and then you have to dissect it and create a layout based on, colors, images, feeling, that sort of thing. So I will post the photo in the picture of the crime scene that I am taking this from, but basically I'm going to work with some of the elements. I'm going to have there's a picture of like a girl with a hula skirt. So one of the clues is to use like a fringe element, which I think would be perfect with the broomsticks. And the color scheme is very summery, very sort of ice cream colors, so that probably won't work. But I will use some white cardstock to back this on. And then I'll pull out some of the other things too. So I'm going to gather some supplies and I'll be back. Okay, so here's a look at the image from the CSI site. This is from their case file. And I will post a link in the video, and then when I get to it on my blog, I'll post it on my blog as well, so you can play along too if you like. So the colors that they've got there are sky blue, white, lime green, hot pink, which they're calling Barbie pink, and orange. So I went into my scrap bins and pulled out papers in those colors. So I've got papers from the scrap bin of all the paper scraps from this album, and then also my main scrap bin. I dug through there too to see what I could find in there. But first I'm going to trim my photos. And if you do the math, I've got 4 by 6 inch photos. So 4 times 4 is 16. So that's way too wide for a 12-inch square piece of paper. So if I trim them down to 3 inches each, they will line up across the page, but there will be no margins in between them. And I really want to have a tiled effect. So that means I need margins in between. So I cut them all down to 2 3/4 inches wide, and then they're the full 6 inches high. So now I am going through my papers and starting to find images and patterns and colors that I want to have. And I'm going to go with a sort of tiled effect, so I'm cutting small pieces of paper to go above and below each photo. And I start with the strip along the bottom. That's just a branding strip in a green horizontal stripe or diagonal stripe. And then that August calendar piece, that is from a cut apart from Chamel's Go Now Go. And that is my nod to signifying that this is a summer memory. And then that lime green piece that I've just placed is from a piece of Chamel's paper from Starshine, I believe. The whole pattern was basically different sizes of rectangles and squares of different colors and patterns, specifically so you could cut them apart and layer them. And then I've got that sky blue is cut from a piece of paper from the Little by Little collection, also by Chamel. And that was one where it looked like she had just painted various swatches of colors onto paper. So this was from the blue-green paper. And it's also the same paper that I used to make my light blue triangles on yesterday's layout. And then the orange is from my Diagon Alley layout. The hot pink is just from my regular scrap drawer. And then the multicolored pink diagonal stripe is also from my regular scrap drawer. I believe that is from Chamel's original collection. The lime green plaid next to it is from an Echo Park Easter collection. And then the little strip that I've just placed underneath the photo, the far photo on the left, is from the branding strip of, I believe it's this balloon pattern actually. And there was just a couple of sayings that I end up putting on the layout that relate to traveling, journaling, you know, flying, all that kind of stuff. And then something about this balloon pattern really drew me. So I decided to fussy cut some of the images. So I fussy cut one image, including the clouds, and then I fussy cut just the balloon part of it and popped it up. So you get this sort of layered piece. It's kind of like you're making your own layered or dimensional, you know, layered embellishment that you pay lots of money for in the stores. And then, so I cut out, I did 3 of them, but I decided to skip ahead because it was boring watching me fussy cut, even in fast motion. So then that paper is from, I believe, Starshine. And I toyed with the idea of having it behind as a frame, and I felt like it just took away from the clean lines of this layout, and I really like the way that it's so clean and quite different from what I would normally do. So then I thought, well, maybe I can just put a strip at the top, but I didn't like that either. I did, however, want to bring that hot pink down to the bottom. So this strip of hot pink is from a cut apart from Glitter Girl, and then I'm just layering that with the previous, the branding strip that I had already put down there. And now it's time to get everything stuck down. So just a word on how I figured out how I was going to space these. I had just about an inch of, you know, when you butt them all up, I measured it out and I had an inch of paper left over. But I need to have 5 margins, so I can't just do 1/4 of an inch. So I decide to do 1/4 of an inch on the outside edges, and so I'm lining those up first. And I like never use my ruler to line things up. I'm a big eyeballer, but this one, it felt like important that I needed to use my ruler. So yeah, so I line those ones up on the edge, and then I measure the gap left again, and I realize I've got about 3/8 of an inch that I can use in between each photo there. So I line up that calendar bit and then the photo on top and get my last photo in. And then it's a pretty simple matter of lining up the papers top and bottom. And you'll probably notice that green one and the pink one down on the bottom moved places. I didn't realize that until just now, actually. And then I realized that the top hot pink one was a bit too tall, so I just had to trim it down a little bit. And now comes the embellishing part. Okay, so I have actually played with this for quite a while off camera. I went through all of my ephemera packs and die cuts and all this kind of stuff, and I pulled out all these feathers. Some are from Little by Little, and these ones are an older Amy Tangerine. And I really tried to get them in, and they were not working for me, so I'm just going to put them to one side. I did find these giant floral pieces in, I think it's crepe paper Bloom maybe, or Chasing Dreams, one of those. And I quite liked those on the page, but I couldn't get the flowers and the feathers to kind of come together. So now I am working on my little fringe / broom elements, and I've got some of this jute twine from Michael's, and I have cut 4 little lengths of it, and I've kept the natural sort of bend in the twine from where it's wrapped around the card. And what I'm doing is I just I have some shorter pieces that I cut, and I just sort of wrap it around to keep them together while I tie another piece. So it's a little bit finicky, especially trying to do it on camera. But I think it kind of works in the end. Sort of make your own little fringe element. You can buy tassels, and I think I used to have some in my stash, but I just don't use them on anything, and I wasn't putting them in my planner. I think that's where I got them, was in a Planner Society kit. And I wasn't using them in my planner, so I just got rid of them. Of course, this one is going to give me troubles now that I'm trying to do it on camera. This jute twine, and probably all jute twine actually, really just falls apart when you're trying to tie it. Okay, so there, sort of a rough little tassel, and I'm just going to trim these two ends off and then trim the bottom. And then I can tuck this bit underneath the flower, and you'll never know. Okay, so now I'm going to get all this stuck together and finish it up. I've also pulled out some letter stickers. I'm going to bring in more of that sort of sky blue. I got to get my journaling on, and then some finishing touches. Okay, so I decided to glue those fringe bits down with some wet glue and place the flowers on pop dots, so that between the dimensional adhesive and the glue, the fringe little bit should stay in place. And this one, I played with the directionality of those leaves quite a bit before I was happy with them. And I had already put pop dots underneath that whole strip down at the bottom, and then I realized as I was placing it over the flower, I really only needed a pop dot at one end, so I had to remove all those pop dots. Okay, but it's okay, I can use them on another flower. So I liked that having the fringe and then the flower popped over top of it. So I do that with each of the flowers, and then the balloons just get adhered directly to the paper. There's no jute twine or anything with those. And I just have a very, very simple title for this one, and it's Up, because that is what the girls had to say. So this particular part of the tour, you had to line up, of course, had to line up for most things. And then you stood to one side of the broom and you said up, and the broom magically raised up into your hand. And the girls liked it. I mean, it's kind of corny, but you know, like with all things at these themed type events, it's all in good fun. But it made for a really easy, really fun title. And then I'm just getting my journaling in. I continue the story down on that calendar card. And then I'm looking for some finishing touches. So I had a 6x12 sticker sheet from the Bloom collection, and there was these hearts on them that had, like, half of it is gold foil and the other half is a color, and they had a dark pink, a light pink, and a light blue, which I thought worked with my color scheme. And then I try again to get those feathers into the layout. And it's not working. I don't know, maybe a different scrapbooker could get them to work, but I just could not. They weren't working for me today. And now I just want something with a little bit of a different texture, so I've pulled out some enamel dots. I had some that had some flower images on them, but the orange was not the right shade of orange, so I just put those aside. And I've just added some light blue enamel dots around the flowers. And then my finishing touch is some gold mist. And that picks up the gold foil in those hearts. So this is an image from Pinterest. This is the type of thing that I was talking about, where you take a large photo and chop it into strips and then offset them. So that's what has inspired me to do what I did with my photos, and I think it worked really well. So now you can just see some of these close-up detail shots here, a little bit of fringe sticking out of the flowers, and my dimensional balloons. I actually really like those. I think I'm going to have to do those on another layout. And the gold mist. And that's one of the little strips from the branding strip. This is Reach for the Stars, and the other one says Taking Flight. And I thought they worked with the story. All right, so another layout down. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon.